Okay, let's retake this topic, an adjustment to final accounts or final statements, which is the accruals, and let's look at it from scratch. So an accruals is the amount owing. An accruals expense, an accrual expense is the amount owing. So if, for example, you are supposed to pay 50 kwacha as your rent and you only pay a 30 kwacha, how much are you owing? You're owing a 20 kwacha. You're owing a 20 kwacha, and that is your accruals, also known as owing. Okay, let me just rewrite that. Also known as owing, also known as outstanding. So this is the amount outstanding for the year. Okay, so we know what an accruals is, an accrued expense is. So let's look at how we treat it under the final accounts. So treatments in the final accounts. What are these final accounts or final statement? Let's just use the word final statements. Final statements, we are looking at the profit or loss and the balance sheet. These are the only two things we're talking about now, and the balance sheet. Then let's start with the profit or loss. How do we treat an accruals? For example, let's take our 50 kwacha as the rent that you're supposed to pay the whole year, and in that year you only managed to pay a 30 kwacha. Okay, so paid a 30 kwacha. How much are you owing? You're owing a 20 kwacha as an outstanding or accruals. So how do you record this in your financial statements? So we are saying, let's make an extract of profit or loss extract. Okay, so we are under less expenses. Okay, and now we have your rent, which is the 50 kwacha here. Then you have to add that amount that you are owing. So the amount that you're owing was 20 kwacha, right? So this is the amount that you're going to take. You have to add the two and you have to get a 70 kwacha. So in short, we can say accrual expenses rather are added. Okay, accrual expenses are added. Then what else? Let's look at the balance sheet extract. Okay, so we have this balance sheet here. Then since an accruals is a liability, you take it under current liability, then you add accruals here. What was your accruals? A 20 kwacha. Then you've accounted for an accrual. So this is just what you do when it comes to accruals. But then if they tell you to extract the amount that someone is owing, okay, so they tell you to extract how much someone is owing to a corporation or to the business, how much expenses this one is owing. So let's say you have a 1 million. This is the rent you're supposed to pay the whole year. Then in the first year, you managed to pay 150,000. Second year, because the rule is that you're supposed to make at least 4 payments in a year, and those 4 payments must give you 1 million. But then in the second year, you pay 200,000. Third year, 250,000. And fourth year, you managed to pay 100,000 kwacha. So these are your 4 payments that you've made. So now, remember, let's do some double entry for expenses. So double entry is that rent you are going to debit, right? Because an expense, you're having an expense. Then if you pay by cash, we're going to credit, right? So this is your double entry, because people are asking me, why are we crediting, why are we debiting this? So now what we are going to do in the rent expense account is we're going to do our rent expense account, and remember we said this side is still our debit and this side is still our credit. Let's go back to our payments. Okay, yeah, the payments are here. So what we're going to do is this amount here that we're supposed to pay is the amount owing. We're still owing this amount. So for us to pay out this amount, we must debit the cash that we are giving out, because remember our double entry. If you look at our double entry was debit rent. So we're going to go into our rent account and write the 1 million down. Then the cash that we've been paying, so the first one we paid the 150, and the second one 200. So 150,000, 200,000. The third one was 250,000, and the last one was 100,000. Now, which one is bigger between this amount and these amounts here? That is the question that should come. So if I add my 150,000 plus my 200,000 plus my 250,000 plus my 100,000, it will give me 700,000, meaning that this debit side is less than my credit side. What does this imply? I have to create an amount here, the difference between the debit side and the credit side, that will make these amounts equal to that amount. What is this value? It is a 300,000. So 300,000 will be written here as, I will name this balance here as my accruals carried down, okay, to show that this amount has come because we are owing some certain amount of money. Okay, so I'm going to write that amount as accruals carried down as how much? 300,000, and close, and this amount is now 1 million. And this side is already balanced, so 1 million. But remember, because this is a carried down, the accruals brought down at the opposite as 300,000. So now you can see that this amount is the amount that we are owing for rent, so we must pay it. So you find out that this 300 that has come about has brought in an increase in liabilities. So there's an increase in liabilities. So because there's an increase in liabilities, we must credit them. A very good thing that I can tell you that would give you an insight on how to know when to credit and when to debit liabilities is this word called ALEG. Okay, so ALEG is a word that we normally use. Okay, ALEG. These are expenses, and assets and expenses. They'll be debited when they increase. Liabilities and gains, they'll be credited when they increase. So that's how we know what to do when assets increase and when liabilities increase. So this is what you do. So I hope this video will be helpful to everyone. Thank you so much. And this was just a review of what we did last time, but just some simple corrections here and there just to correct what we had started. So thank you so much.